Alright, hello. I don't know, a bunch of things just didn't go right just now, but okay, welcome to the stream today. Hope you all are doing great. Hope you all are doing well. I hope you all are doing okay. But yeah, just get it. Anyway, for the most part, I just realized I have a lot more time nowadays to where at least I can stream at least once a day. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep up with this. I'll do like major long streams on the weekends because I do have a lot more time then. But every day I would try to do, you know, at least a 5-minute stream. I can definitely make out 5 minutes. The thing is, some of the times, I mean, anyone would look at it and be like, of course, how the heck can you, make up 5 minutes to do an extra stream? But the situation is that some of the times, right, I'm like in a project here that I cannot stream, and I'm actively doing something. And I can't just like close out the project because it takes too long to get into, it takes too long to set up. Like, this is an empty project, and it was pretty relatively easy to come in here from the lobby. But some of the other projects I work on, it can take like 10 minutes just to load in. And like, if I'm still working in that project, I don't know if you know, I tend to stream around this time, right? But I try my best to wrap everything up. I've been trying my best to wrap everything up before this time so I can stream. But if I'm still, for some reason, if I'm still doing stuff in that project, then, or in those projects, then I won't just be able to like, back out of them and come back, like switch to this one, which is what I usually stream. Actually, don't need this either. So it's obviously I can make out 5 minutes to I can make out a lot of time to do a lot of stuff. But when it comes to streaming, in which I need to share my screen, at the very least, sometimes I just can't easily, it's not like I can't make out time for you. I just can't easily just, close the project and switch to something that can stream. Because most of the times, to top it off, I'm like working with people, so like we're working together in real time, and I can't just, go off to do something else. It sucks, but anyway, I'm just saying, right? It's not like making out 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour to stream is a big deal, or it's just sometimes I just can't because of responsibilities. So but yeah, these days I'm a lot the workload is a lot less than a few months ago, so I kind of have time to towards the end of the day to do stuff. Now it's not like I have time to do stuff, right? But it's more like I can push things I'm supposed to. Like right now I'm supposed to be doing something, but I can push that I could push that till tomorrow, so I don't have to do it right now. I can afford to push it till tomorrow. I mean, I'm still gonna do what I have to do today, and then what I have to do tomorrow, I'm gonna have to do tomorrow still. But this is more important, so I can push that out. Okay. Stream stuff. Let's just clean up a little bit of. Oh, smack! I didn't mean to do that. Anyway, so today was update day, Fortnite update, and where is it? 1 second. All right. So we got a bunch of stuff, Star Wars stuff, blah blah blah, fixes here and there, and I had to do some updates, and stuff, and it wasn't too tough. Like the last two updates were kind of brutal. This one wasn't really. Like, I wouldn't say things broke, but for a very long time, I think I can even probably go in there. For a very long time today, like about 6 hours ish, not to mention the downtime took like 3 hours, so I was waiting for that, and then when that happened and I went in and I was like ready to go publish the project I work on, like most people, pretty much everybody, not everyone, but like a lot of people couldn't publish, and there were like problems, so we had to wait for that to get fixed. So but it wasn't that hard. Like, for example, I'm gonna open some of them here. I'm gonna open all three of them. There were 3 major ones, right? I wasn't affected by this one. This one though, I was affected by this one on 2 different projects, so like we had to wait for this to get fixed. A lot more. Oh, we can see like a lot of people, and it just got fixed like very recently. This one, I wasn't affected by this one, so thankfully. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. Last updates, like last 4 or 5 updates, there were more than just these. It was like in-map problems, just things not working as they should have been working. Anyway, that's it. That's it for the update day today. It was pretty okay. Pretty okay, I would say. All right. So, but for now, the stream, I'm going to sort of like, go over a little bit over the things they added. Some of the things they added here, I'm going to make some changes to what I have in my map, because especially this one, really. But that aside, before I get started on that, I just wanted to show something real quick, right? So I posted in the community. I post a lot of things in the community. It's for whoever it is for. Yeah. What the heck? All right. So this is the stream. Community. Right. So I posted. You can make posts, like you can how do I do it? You can come over here. I mean, not here, but like it'll be different if you're on mobile or whatever. But if you're subscribed, you can make a post, right? You can make a post, even an image post, or like a, you know, any post really. Just like this. And the J is nowhere to be found. All right, you can make a post, right? And so not just me as the channel owner, anyone can make a post if you're subscribed for at least 24 hours. I don't know, I can't make it to be like for everyone. Like it has to be at least 24 hours, right? So posts, minimum subscription time. Like I can't change that. It has to be at least that. But you make a post, and if you don't see your post show up immediately, that's fine, because I just closed it, but I currently have it so that anyone who makes a post, so that people don't just post random stuff on my, thing, but anyone who makes a post, so people don't post things that are not safe for work and, whatever, just troll. But anyone who makes a post, right, it kind of goes into a holding period. So I have to see it and approve it first, right? So, and I have that here. Well, not there, here. So whenever you make a post, viewer post, I would see it here, and then I have to approve it. If you want to like write a message and you don't want, like, you kind of like just want to post a post, but you don't want it to go in the public side, just put it, just put like, if you don't want, yeah. But all I'm saying is you make a post, it's not going to show up here. Like I'm just saying, if you make the post, oh my God, I'm what the hell is the, yeah, bro. If you make a post and you don't see it immediately show up, it's because I have to approve it. Now I will be checking this page every day, to see the posts and approve them. If I should approve them, if it's from you, then I wouldn't approve it, if you understand what I'm saying, right? Because, but I can see like, you can make a post. That's all I'm trying to say. All right. Okay. I hope you guys understand. Anyway, that is all about the post. And today, now I'm going to dive into, into these stuff that apply to me. I'm actually, the stream should be longer, but I have to go do some more work on the Star Wars thing. So I would have to end the stream because I can't show that, unfortunately. But I'm going to try and keep the stream as long as I can for today, at least. Maybe I should change it to not so long stream. It was supposed to be a tiny stream. You know what? Yeah, let's. There we go. A kind of long stream. All right. So, I don't know. None of these here. Actually, I already have the plan for today. Right, it's going to be that I would, where is it? A lot of fixes. That's good. SingGraph. Oh, okay. So this, you want to see what this is about? Apparently, when you try to create a new entity prefab, it makes a dialog where you can choose the base class. So let's see what that's about. Piano. What? Okay, let's do it. Wait, is this? Okay, key set. I'm gonna do. Oh, okay. All right. So you can sort of like make a subclass of an existing thing. Let me see what that looks like. Actually, need to just make a pure new prefab, but it's fine. Let's do. Okay, wait, hold up. I need to get the name of that. Oh, PF key set basic. Maybe I should like piano key set. I don't know. I'm not really satisfied with this name. I'll fix it later. Okay, so entity prefab and PF. Ooh, okay. Okay, that's nice. So they are actually divided into two. So you have like the raw entities, which I'm guessing is, since you can't like make an entity asset, like if we want, you could drag in an entity like this, but this wouldn't be an asset. If you wanted to make an asset, you have no choice but to make a prefab. So I'm not guessing, but I'm just going to take a sort of like an informed decision, not decision, but like make an informed guess here that all of the entities, like the pure entities, are Fortnite created ones, which is, just going to be the guns pretty much. So that's good that we don't have to scroll through all of them, because you could just collapse this. And then now we have the prefabs, which are the ones that the users made. So these are all my prefabs so far. Hello, person who just joined. Okay, so let's make let's see how it goes. If I did key set basic, right? I'm just gonna call that new prefab. Oh, okay. Okay. So it makes a child of the prefab. And I'm guessing right here you can see edit superclass. So if I click this one, then I can make changes to the parent class here, which is this one here. And if I made any changes to the parent class, all those changes would propagate, or the word is propagate, but all those changes would automatically apply to all the prefabs that I made using that parent class. And this is new too. I don't know if you just noticed. Well, I just noticed, but you have the entity and the components are now visible. Oh wait, I remember when they said this was going to be released. You can toggle this off, because right now you click on the entity and you kind of see the components, but you can also see them in the outliner as well. But I don't want that, because I'm obviously going to click on component. So you can turn that off right here. They mentioned this in the stream before, so it's like I just knew automatically. All right, so you can turn. So this is how it used to be, right? You click on an entity and you kind of want to see the components here. I'm not really a fan. I don't see the need to kind of see. I mean, I guess it makes sense, because some people would want to like, click directly on the components and whatnot. But I don't mind. Personally. I do not mind clicking on the entity and then go into the component here. So I'm going to leave it like this. All right, so that's fine. That's great. Oh, okay. So you click on the root and then you can edit the superclass. Okay. What if I click on the root here? Okay, there's nothing. All right, so that's a pretty good change. I don't really use children entities. I mean, I don't have a need for it yet, just because of how I build, I guess. But it's good that we can do that. But I most likely would just be, using this like this. So with no superclass, PF, piano, that's crazy. Piano, and yeah, so no superclass, just pure stuff there. Okay, all right, so pretty good change. Let's see what else we've got. Custom items. Okay, so I haven't yet started doing anything with the custom items, so I won't be testing this out. Physics. I'm going to look at my physics project again after. Oh, let's do that. Should we do it now? Yeah, let's. No, hold up. I think I actually skipped. Yeah, definitely skipped. So we're gonna do this first. This is the other thing that concerns me, is that we now have a new input action for menus, and that's the back. So the back input action is basically, when you're in a menu and you click escape and it takes you back. If you're in here and you click escape and that takes you back, that is what that is. So you might be wondering, okay, so how is this of importance to you? Well, here in my pin pad, for example, I have this close button. We didn't have the back input action before, so I was forced to use X. It's kind of like you can see there. So I can click X to close. So basically, there's the button. You can click the button with your mouse or controller and it'll close, or you can just press X. Right? So what I'm basically going to be doing is replacing this X with the new one, which is escape. And ideally that shouldn't really, be difficult to do. Right? So let's kind of like see what we might need to change and where we might need to change it. Pin entry. Input action is added somewhere here. Inventory menu mapping. All right, so. Oh, okay. So the back input action was available this update, version 40.30, belongs to the menu navigation input mapping. So we're going to have to switch, like you can see right here. We're going to have to switch this from inventory menu mapping to menu navigation. So it should be this on the code side of things, right? I'm just going to build. And then on the like widget side of things, I also need to change, I think it's two things, like in two places. So the first place would be here on the button, I think. All right, yeah. So here on the button, triggering enhanced input action. This has to be back. So input action, UI, back. And you can kind of see in the thing that will pop up right here, that is, you can see the path that's going to pop up right around here. That is game input, enhanced input, UI, menu navigation. So this is the correct one. And if I just search back, well, that's going to be that one. So now I'm basically saying this button, the close button, if you click back, it should automatically trigger it. And then the next thing I need to do as well is also in here, if I can select it. I think I locked it. Did I? But this white thing right here is essentially what shows the button you need to press. Or is it like automatic? Wait a minute. Okay, so it's automatic in here. So I probably set it up. Yeah, okay, so this is why you set up things nicely. So I basically set it up so that it sets the input action from whatever you set in the button. So I don't need to, set it here. Basically, whatever you set here will be sent into this as well. That's what, this binding is. Okay, so compile, and then I'll need to push full verse changes. Not full verse, but like everything changes. And pull push. I need to push. What the hell? My God! I need to push full changes. And the result, ideally this should just work. I don't see any reason why it will bug out, but the result should be that, first of all, it's going to change from X to escape, it's going to write ESC, obviously. It's going to change from X to escape. And if I press escape, well, not now, but if I press escape afterwards, it will close the pin pad. All right. So after doing this, then I'll go check the improvements to physics using my pool map snooker 8-ball. What do you guys call it? I call it pool. But using my pool map, I'm going to go test out and see if physics has improved, like at least the physics response, if it has improved a little bit. Okay. I don't know, nothing. Oh, I actually want to take a look at rocket racing stuff. We got some new rocket racing things. Might be fun to take a look at those, especially the rocket racing track. Maybe it's like spline based device. I know it's a device. I'm curious how they're gonna actually, now I think about it, it's probably gonna be like the grind rail device where you have a spline and you can, speaking of splines, actually I don't know if I streamed me playing a bicycle game earlier, but that got me thinking about racing games, right? You know, racing games, they have tracks that curve. And ideally, if you want to implement a position-based system, you can't just do a distance to, oh, that happened quickly. You can't just do a distance to the finish line. So your options for positioning, like, you know, your second out of 8 racers or whatever, are either to use checkpoints, but that's not very accurate because, you know, there usually is a very big distance between checkpoints. So if you wanted to know if player number 1 is in front of you, how would you do that? You would need a way to represent the racetrack in code, right? Because that's obviously where you would be doing it. It sent me down a rabbit hole, but I'll be trying something out similar to getting that feature to work in a few days or weeks. All right, so let's see the pin pad. Hey, look at that. So it shows escape right there. If I hover, it's going to close, but it shows escape right there. And hopefully I press escape and it shouldn't open the menu. It should just close the pin pad, right? Oh, and yeah, that's it. Pretty anticlimactic, but it works. So yeah, hooray for the new back input action. I already have this set up, but just in case you don't have this set up, I'll just quickly run over how you can use this in your Verse UI menus, because it's pretty neat to just be able to just press escape and close the menu. That makes sense. Escape on keyboard and mouse and back on controller just automatically handles it. All right, so a little, how to is, first of all, you need to have your button, right? Whatever button you're using. For me, this is the button, and all you need to do, literally all you need to do, is go into the button, go into the settings, scroll down a bit to where it says input, and set the triggering enhanced input action to ia.ui.back. Now, if you look at the tooltip that appears, you'll see that it is in menu navigation. So apart from doing this, okay, so there's 3 things you need to know. Number 1, you need to set this up here in your widget. You can also do it in, if you're not using UMG and your widgets are pure verse, I don't know how you do that, but you're doing pure verse UI, you could also set it there. I'm not going to show that because, I don't know, don't use UMG. Don't use verse, use UMG. Anyway, so 3 things you need to know. The first is you come over here, you set it here. That's 1. Number 2 is in your verse code, you need to add the mapping context to the player before you try to read that input. So here I have a little function that I have 2 things right here, and this kind of helps. So the main function is set mapping context, and it's just like this. You just get the player input by get player input, player convert the agent or whatever. Yeah, the player, just give the player input, and then you want to do player input.add mapping context and the add input mapping. And the input mapping you want to add is the menu navigation mapping, because it's the menu navigation mapping context that handles the back input action, right? So you add that, and then it's going to work. But the second thing to note is that if your UI, right? Let's go to the very top. If your UI that you added isn't set to input mode all, so there's none, and then there's all. If it isn't set to all, it's not going to work, right? And obviously this is for a very good reason, because otherwise you could essentially add a UI to the player's screen. When you set your UI input mode to all, ideally you should know what this does, right? It makes it so that it stops, like it detaches your cursor from your camera, so your cursor can freely move around, and then you can also click on things. If you set it to none, then it doesn't. It just adds the UI widget without doing anything, which most people usually use for just regular HUD stuff. And you can still like be looking around and stuff. Now, if it worked with none, think about this for a second, then people would be able to make it so that you enter the map, they add like a UI that doesn't stop you from moving around, because all does stop you from moving around. I'm clicking move around, it's not working. And then they basically prevent you from clicking escape, so you can't leave the map. Because look at this. When I'm here, when I click escape, this button is going to consume that, right? So it won't let you open this menu. Obviously, Fortnite does this very smart thing. They do, whenever you add a UI input that is all, it automatically adds this button here, so people can still leave, right? You can still click this, right? You can still click that, but you know, not everybody. Look at it; it's very, you know, it's not very obvious there. And imagine, by the way, I'm not teaching how to, you know, I'm not even going to talk about it, but yeah, okay, I should not talk about that. But there is a way to make this look nearly invisible, right? But yeah, so those are the three things you need to know. If you're using UMG, you need to add it to the button, and then you need to add the mapping context to the player, and you need to do that before, so you can see I do it here before I actually add the widget to the player screen. And then third is that it wouldn't work if you have your UI input mode set to none. Okay. I don't know, I'm just show it for completeness sake. Right, let's just do it for completeness sake. Let's say canvas. Let's look for a canvas so I can show this with a widget. All right, okay, I'm just gonna use the button because it's right here. If you're doing this in verse and not through UMG, then it's quite simple. Your button device, right? Your button widget has the variable, so you could just, it has the input action. So this thing here, you wouldn't set it here. You would just set this. You would set it here. So like you would do your button dot triggering input action. You would do set button, whatever you called it, dot triggering input action equals, it takes an optional, so it would be equals option, and then you would put the input action that you want. In which case, in this case, it would be this one, back equals back. That's it. So that's how you do it in Verse UI, and that's how you do it in UMG. All right. And what I was doing here as well, just like a little cleanup thing, you know, just a good idea, I guess, good programming idea for you is that you put your mapping content, because obviously you don't need to have this in a different function. You could do all of this right here. You could do it in this section, but I put it in a function, and I have the function take, you know, an operation type, so that I could defer this function. Sorry, why is this too long? Let me just close this real quick. So that I could defer the function with, you know, a different flag. So what this does is whenever my whole like the open, whenever you close the pin, either you enter a right thing. Actually, if you enter something correct, does it automatically close? I don't even know if that's a valid code. 1 second. 2412. All right, so enter a valid code and okay, so it closes. Maybe I should add like a feature where it wouldn't automatically close if you enter. No, I think it should automatically close. Like, it doesn't make sense that you enter a valid code for something and it's still there. Like, it should close, right? So yeah. Okay, so whenever it closes either by entering a valid code or, you know, by manually closing, or in my function I have like, because you could use this with other stuff, I have the ability to force close it. So you can close it by force externally. But basically whenever it closes somehow, however it does it, this function ends, right? Because I'm racing here between either, you can have a timeout too. I didn't even mention, oh my goodness, I never think about it. You can have a timeout when it'll automatically close. I didn't set that up here, but I could do that. If I did like 5 seconds, for example. And this is like the bit about SceneGraph. I don't even need to start the game. I'm just gonna set that there. Open this and in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom, closes automatically. You can have a timeout, but whatever happens, so either it closes due to a timeout, or it closes due to force closing, or manual closing. When any of these happen, these are the close conditions, by the way. It would end this race, and after the race, it would remove the widget and just return false. False is that the player, like, false is if it ends with false, it means that they didn't put a successful pin. That's kind of like my operating mode here. If they did use a valid pin, it would return the valid pin they used. But if they didn't use a valid pin or it closed, it would just return false. So whenever it ends, the player widget gets removed, like it gets taken out of your screen. So what I have here is a defer statement. What if you don't know what a defer statement is whatever you have is, I mean, right now I only have one function, but you can have other things, right? You can't have asynchronous things. So you can see this is a suspend state. This is a suspense function. But if I were to try and, like, you know, sleep, like, you can't have that in a defer block. But you can have other things, right? You could do things like, I don't know, name is 1, 21 plus 1 plus 2. You could do things. You could do whatever in a defer statement. But here I only have one thing because it's only one thing I want to do. But basically what happens is whenever the scope, not really the function, because if I put this in the loop, then it would happen when the loop ended. So in this case, the scope is the function because it's, you know, obviously right here in the function level. Whenever the function ends, so after here, right before, is it right before or after? I can't remember. But basically, when the function ends, if it's in the function level, it's going to automatically run this. So basically now this is how it's gonna go. Open pin model is gonna run. It's gonna do this line. It's gonna do this line. It's gonna do this line. It's going to skip this line, and it'll start here. It'll do all of this. When it gets here and does this line, then it would run all the things that you had in your defer block. And that's where I just basically have it set to automatically remove the input mapping. Okay, so that's why I made the set mapping context a function of its own. So I can run this, but like to do the removal, because here I set it and it's true. So if that's operation, right? So if operation is true, then it would add it. But here I set it to false. So if it's not true, if it's true, it'll add it. But if it's not true, then it will remove the input mapping. That's basically it, right? So I'm using the first statement to handle cleaning up in this situation. Do I use the first statement anywhere else? Yeah, I do, in my cursor mode thing. So basically, when I reload the cursor, which you call for certain reasons, it will reset everything and then re-add itself to the entity, basically. The reason why I'm adding it to the entity is because self.dispose is a remove from entity, by the way. So it'll remove itself and then it will add itself. And the reason why I'm doing that in this cursor situation is because whenever you add a component to an entity, it runs through the component's lifecycle, right? So that means it will basically reload, because it will run on simulate from scratch again. So it will end simulation, it will do all the cancelable, and then it will just, it's a reload. So how would you have this? I mean, I guess you could, obviously you could literally just put this at the very end, but then that wouldn't make sense, because if you remove it from the entity, well, I don't know. You just use a defer block to do things afterwards. That's that is it for, I don't know, I think I give a little verse lesson. I love verse. Yeah, verse. If you can hear me, verse, I love you. Best ever. And now we're gonna go do the physics thing. Just make sure this is gone. 5, 4, 3, 2. All right. It's not, because here's a little tip for you. If you set an optional, and I'm sure you noticed it maybe you didn't notice, but if you set an optional and you remove the optional, you need to push changes for that to take effect. I'm not going to push changes though. We're going to go do pull. All right. Save. 1 second. All right. Yes, I trust the author. I am the author. All right. I'm hoping that the physics, I don't know what I'm hoping for. I just feel like, obviously they weren't sitting around, so they must have improved it somehow, right? So I'm hoping for that. And we will be testing it here in what should have been the best pull map in Fortnite, but I didn't even finish because it just looked shitty. It looked terrible, but maybe that's about to change. Maybe that is about to change. I'm having some ideas here, because we now have the verse API to turn off the physics response on a prop. Before you couldn't. Like if you, like all these are physics props, right? I don't know why that opened. This didn't. Anyway, so all these are physics props. In the past, you set them in the level or you spawn them, and that's it. They are physics props. You can't turn off physics on them. But a few updates ago, we got, a nice little I can open it real quick. Let's look for physics something. There we go. So right here you can set dynamic, and no, right here you can set, you can set dynamic. So you can turn it off. You can turn off the physics prop. And you might wonder, why would you want to do that? Well, the less physics props, like individual props you have simulating, the more stable, is that a word? More stable, stablest. Okay, it's definitely not a word. So the more stable it's going to be in general. So if you only have like 2 physics props, those are going to simulate better than if you had like, okay, basically, look, I've said basically so many times. Okay. If you only had 2 physics props, and this ball is going to hit this ball, and that's it. That failed. Of course it failed. I saw that coming. It's going to be more stable than if you had like 50. Even if you're not hitting all those 50, you're just hitting the same 2 props still. It would be a lot more stable if you just didn't have those ones as physics props, basically. So, maybe not for the pool game, because it doesn't make sense. Like, you should be able, I can kind of like, based off of like when you hit the ball, I could run a physics calculation and see what balls will be affected, and I can turn off those balls entirely. But if I'm doing that, I might as well just make custom physics myself, right? But so that's what I'm saying. Like, I probably wouldn't do that for the pool game. I probably might just end up making custom physics myself. I just like, that's the only option I see here. However, there is a crate stacking game I used to play as a kid, and I liked it a lot. It was not a crate stacking game. It was more like a building game. So you had like a crane, and it had like, you were supposed to build a tower, like a skyscraper, basically. And the crane, can I do it with something here? Oh, I'm in. So you had like a crane that would be moving back and forth like this, and then you would click and it would drop a piece of the skyscraper, and you basically don't want the skyscrapers to fall, right? So for that type of game, you kind of like physics, or even Jenga, to think about Jenga for a second. But that kind of game, you kind of need physics. It's a lot of fun if you have like, physically accurate simulation there. But the problem is that the problem I had in the beginning was, you would have a whole lot of physics blocks. Let's say a player is really good, right? They are really good. Then they could get to like, I don't know, 200 blocks, and then you have 200 things, and it can't even support 200 physical simulating objects. So now what I'm thinking is this, because it's obviously going to be a window, right? And then you're going to be going up the more you add. So what I'll do is, like, how I will make this, if I were to make this, I'm thinking of making this, but I'm just thinking still. But how I would make it is, when you go up, I can just turn off the blocks at the bottom, right? I could just turn off the blocks at the bottom, all thanks to this new thing that we got. When did we get it? I don't remember exactly, but we got it. We didn't have it at first. So I can turn off the blocks at the very bottom, so that only the blocks at the top portion of, the actual gameplay are simulating. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do that on Saturday. I don't know. There's so many things I could do and not enough time. All right. Anyway, let's see how this goes. So I have a modest. Okay. Oh, that looks. Whoa. Wait, hold up. I'm gonna do the actual test now. If I shoot this. Oh, wait. Maybe I tripped. Let's get. Okay, no. Like, how did you go through, bro? Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not surprised, but let's. Wait. Yeah, you see that? Maybe it's my ping. I don't want to think it's my ping, but like, what was that? It just went back and forth on the same. Okay, try it again. Sometimes it looks good, but like, okay, look at this. Okay, no, that was actually good. Wait. I don't know if it bounced or if it just like. Right. It's not even doing anything. Hold up. Like it literally just teleported. Yeah. So, I mean, physics is not going to be. I mean, this is just 16 balls and can't even do it properly. I'm not going to do a physics-based pool game. It's sad. I could have done like golf, but obviously someone has already done a really good golf. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I could have done mini golf. I mean, obviously people have made mini golfs, but I don't want to be just one more to the pile. Not to mention, party golf is really, bro. Yeah, I'm not making a pool game. All right. Sheesh. Maybe someday we are going to get like client-based physics replication, physics, whatever. So that, because I would say a lot of the issues that are happening just now that you saw was because it's running on the server, and the server has authority. So basically, what happens is it simulates on your client on my game, and at regular intervals, it asks the server, "Am I supposed to be here?" And then the server reports back, "Yeah, you're supposed to be here," or "No, you're not supposed to be here." So that's pretty much what causes things like, you know, it shoots in front and then it kind of like rubber bands backwards, you know, because the server said, "Hey, you're not supposed to be there. Like, if you were simulating accurately, you're supposed to be here." But the problem with that is if you're on high ping, it just looks doo-doo, right? So your only option is to make a custom physics system based on keyframes, obviously. I mean, I wouldn't want to transform every single tick, but if I would make this custom, that would take, you know, I mean, I guess I can decide how custom to make it. But if I just had simple strike and there are no spin, no nothing, just a strike in the middle, then it would be the ball gets striked. I would run a sweep hit to see what it hits, and then the thing that it hits, I would run sweep hits to see what they hit, and obviously based on the amount of force applied to this, the distance of what things should hit would be adjusted. And then I would just set keyframes to each of the hit objects with precise timings, and I would play it, and it would just be an animation, right? So basically, you go forward, and then you go that way, and then I'll just play the animation. That's how I think I would make a physics simulation. Manually, if I'm to do it manually. It's just a question of the time I would have to spend doing that. Is it worth the potential returns? You know? That's kind of like the main question for me, really. Okay. I think this is where I'm going to stop for today. Yeah. Tomorrow is Friday. It's gonna be the weekend, so you know, we're about to be free and stuff. I know for a lot of you the day has not like begun, but it's still fresh out, right? So well, you know, just the stream ended up being an hour long, and yet it doesn't seem long enough. Okay, So I hope all of you have a great. You know, let's play something. So it's like an hour, because it's currently 55 minutes. This definitely should not be allowed, but you know, it's whatever. Oh, good lord. Oh, I should be making my map. Maybe I'll focus on. I'll focus on that. Or should I do the stacking towers thing? I feel like the stacking towers thing would be fun. The issue is I don't know how to make that like multiplayer. Anyway, thank you all for hanging out with me today. You know, I did a lot more research. And every time I kind of like research, I mean like research, I mean I'm trying to move, right? And I can't just move anywhere. I can't move anywhere. It has to satisfy a lot of conditions. You know, I kind of have to be able to bring people along or meet people and stuff. And at first it seemed a lot hopeless. At first it kind of seemed hopeless. Like I was sad. I was like, you cannot go there. You cannot go here. You cannot go there. You can't do this. You can't do that. And I'm like, sheesh, why does the world just want to stop me from going where I want to go? Like, what's up with that? But then, you know, I started doing a lot more research and stuff, and it's very, very hopeful. You know, there is a lot of hope. I can see like a lot of opportunities and options, basically. So all I'm trying to say at this point is that, I mean, at first it was like, I wasn't like saying I believed what I was saying, but right now, like I'm 100% sure that it is absolutely just a matter of time, right? It's 100% just a matter of time at this point. But yeah, thank you all for stopping by, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Tomorrow, as you can, oh well, look at that, just right on time. But tomorrow is the Star Wars stuff, and like I will be busy probably doing fixes and whatnot. But I'll also try to make a stream at the end of the day, just like today. So yeah, you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Just came back to quickly shout out. I love you all. Don't forget to check out the post thing. Okay, I love to read your post. I read everything. Okay. Bye.